Hi all, I wanted to introduce a fellow quilt enthusiast who I recently met about a year ago. Ada is my older daughter Tien's best friend, and her age is between my two daughters' ages, so I adopted her as my middle daughter. And she is the same ethnicity as half of my ancestors, but that's not why I could relate to her and like her so much. It was clear that she is more obsessed with quilt making than I am. And Ada has found a way to keep quilting obsessively, even after the birth of her baby girl, Jasmina. And just recently fell in love with foundation paper piecing.
Hi, I'm good. How are you, mother? Oh, I would love to tell you all about it. So, as you mentioned, after the birth of Jasmina, I was looking for an artistic outlet because I feel like many women can relate to this, that once you become a mother, it feels like your whole identity changes. And of course, I was going through the same process, and I was trying to find for a hobby like a creative hobby I can do in my free time. I just decided to return back to quilting that I already started a couple of years back, but took a long break due to starting my career in nursing and all the other life events. And again, another life event, which was the death of my dog, Belle, kind of pushed me into the direction of foundation paper piecing. So this is very interesting that it's always some major life events that push me into my creative outlets. I was looking for a min pin inspired quilt design, and I encountered interesting looking pattern of a min pin, and it just said FPP, and I started looking what is FPP, and that's how I found out about foundation paper piecing. And I purchased this pattern and made a little pillow that I brought here.
Oh my gosh, I love that, Ada.
I made this pillow especially for my husband who was really affected by death of Belle. So of course here
Oh.
is the min pin, and I also included watermelons, which is my husband's and also used to be Belle's favorite treat. So this is how I discovered foundation paper piecing. But then, of course, as always it is with me, I became hyper fixated on this new hobby. And I don't know if Tien told you about it or if you heard about it. There was this internet sensation, pygmy hippo called Mudeng. And I started looking for a Mudeng foundation paper piecing patterns, and I couldn't find any. This is what prompted me to my next project, which was to make a foundation paper piecing project of the famous Mudeng biting her caregiver. So this is how it all started. And of course, in the meantime,
And you made that pattern?
oh yes, here is the proof at the back.
Oh my gosh. And so, do you have an Etsy shop, did you say?
Yes, I do have an Etsy shop that is called Getting Jazzy with It, which is also the name of my Instagram page where I post all updates about my new projects. And I named this shop this funky way because not only my sewing machine is the jazz too, that I call Jazzy, but also my daughter's one of her nicknames is Jazzy. So I thought this is just perfect. I feel like I have to have this machine, and I'm really happy with it.
So, you used to have a dog clothing boutique, you told me. And so, Ada has tons of scraps from that. So, Ada, tell us about that previous dog clothing boutique you
Of
had.
course, this is, I feel like, very important for me because this is how I met Tien through the dog boutique. And now Tien is my best friend. And of course, now Teresa is my adopted mother. So, it all ties in together.
Yep.
So we are back to Belle, my little baby girl that sadly passed away last year. After moving to the US, of course, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends. I only got my green card. We were moving a lot. We moved from Chicago to Louisiana. And I was just looking for a thing to do that I could kind of do in my free time from taking my prerequisites at the university and that I could just sell. And I thought, what am I good at? And I thought, maybe I can sell something handmade because that's something I already know I can do. So that's how I started making and selling little doggy accessories, mostly bandanas, but also jumpers, some fleece jumpers, whatnot, winter coats, dresses, everything. And I also joined an Instagram community. And this is how I met Tien, because Tien, of course, is also very involved in the dog community through her training and boarding. That's how we met all these years ago. But yes, so I closed my boutique in 2020 when I became a nurse. I just was left with these pounds and pounds and pounds of fabrics. And foundation paper piecing is perfect for using scrap.
Yes.
So I actually really, really love it. Also for this reason that I hardly have to buy any new fabric. It's fine for me to just use little scraps,
Yeah.
and I don't feel so wasteful, because for some time I didn't even know what to do with all these weird fabrics I accumulated throughout the years, but this is perfect.
So many of your foundation paper piecing patterns, they use such small pieces too. And also, you had mentioned to me that you have some hand wrist issues and you found that you had to give up on some crafts in the past, but you found that you could still do quilting.
Yes, it is true that foundation paper piecing often requires working with very, very small pieces of fabric. But I find that it's still manageable for me because often you can use a way larger piece and just trim it for the correct size.
Mhm.
So I can do it, but also thanks to the Instagram and Facebook community, I was able to connect with my now wonderful friend and tester, Stephanie. So often I send my patterns to her and she does them for me if I feel like I really won't be able to manage with my hands.
She
Yes,
sews them together.
sew them together. I feel like we have a very great collaboration because she just loves my patterns, and I love the way she just totally understands my vision. So I can trust her that it's gonna be even better than I would make it myself.
And your patterns, I love the two raccoons together. And you showed me the photos that you were inspired by of the two raccoons together. And you made up these patterns yourself. That just amazes me. So, do you happen to have some samples of the patterns that you've recently made yourself?
Sure, funny that you asked. I have one right here. And it's very fresh, it's still unpublished. I created this pattern just 2 days ago based on my frustration with another project. So this is the front, this is the finished piece.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that Ada has quite the sense of humor.
Oh, definitely. So this one is, let's say, not safe for work.
I love the colors in that too.
Yes, I actually love them too. This is my favorite batik. I was saving for a special project. It just works so well with my vision. To show you the back of the project so people can understand what foundation paper piecing is all about. Basically, the pattern I design are these sections divided into pieces. You have to follow the numbers. It's, I don't know how to show it the best, but it says, for example, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. So you sew
Okay.
through the paper. You follow the lines. This is just straight stitching. There is no Y seams, nothing like this. You just have to follow the order. And then once you are done with the project, you assemble all sections together, you just rip off this paper. So me, because I am cheap, I just use printer paper. However, you can buy special foundation paper, piecing paper that is just thinner. Printer paper, like copy paper, works just fine. Newsprint, I know people also use. Some people use a slightly different technique with freezer paper. So there is a way to do this without buying any extra supplies. If you already have a sewing machine and you have a copier paper.
So when people buy your pattern from your Etsy shop, you email them the pattern and they print it out on whatever paper they want to use then.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
why I find that PDF perhaps is the best way to distribute foundation paper piecing patterns. Because first of all, if maybe you make a big mistake and you want to start over, you can just reprint that section and just go ahead. And second, people can just print it on whatever medium they chose for their foundation paper piecing. So I think this is also good. I really enjoy doing it. I don't find it taxing. It is a little difficult, but I enjoy this difficulty. And I feel like it is, especially now that I quit my job as a nurse to focus more on Yasmina, I feel like it's very important for me to still do something that's mentally stimulating.
Right.
And this is just perfect.
Right. You were working through the pandemic as a nurse in the burn unit. That's so left brain too. And now you can focus on these tiny, tiny details using more of your right brain power. I love those two raccoons. What do you call that pattern?
Oh, I call it trash crossed lovers. I just was inspired by Romeo and Juliet, the star-crossed lovers. And I just couldn't get the name out of my mind that like trash cross lovers, just opossum and raccoon, from two different species, but they just fell in love against all odds. I don't know, just like have this whole story in my mind. I am very, very active on my Instagram, which is at Getting Jazzy with It IG, just because Getting Jazzy with It was already taken. So IG stands for Instagram. And this is where I post all updates about my upcoming projects. I also try to post some lighthearted, funny videos and short tutorials about foundation paper piecing. And of course, I have my shop on Etsy, which is under the same name, Getting Jazzy with It.
And of course, Jasmina is falling asleep as we talk. We're putting her to sleep.
Okay, I'm gonna go try to put her down for real for a good nap.
Okay, thanks again, Ada. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.